Welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live. This is episode 112, and tonight's guest will be the incredible Aaron Konzelman. He's a singer, songwriter, guitarist from Waco, Texas, and he's been around music his entire life because both of his parents were musicians and they traveled across the country together. And Aaron was just witnessing his parents do music at a really young age. For the past 18 years, Aaron and his wife, Amanda, have been a part of Americana folk duo The Union Revival. And earlier this year, Aaron was featured on season 20 of NBC's hit show, The Voice, Team Blake. And guys, if you've seen Aaron's blind audition of Ordinary World by Duran Duran, you know exactly what I'm talking about because he truly killed that song. So Aaron's going to hop in here shortly. We're going to do a fun interview. He's going to perform. He'll take some questions from the audience. And we're going to learn about what it's like to write and tour with your spouse. And I'm really excited to learn more about that because I think it's so amazing. So Aaron's in the room and we're going to get this party started. Aaron!
Hey!
How are you?
I am great. How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. What are you drinking?
So this is tea. It's one of my mason jar leather mug handles that I make. And I just carry a mason jar with me everywhere. I put tea and coffee in the morning and whiskey in the evening.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm a huge tea person. What kind of tea are you drinking?
I am drinking this great stuff called Gypsy Cold Care.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's like spicy and cinnamon and vanilla. It's really good.
And it's great for fall.
Yeah, I know.
So Aaron, I was just introducing you to the room and I start each show off with a song lyric. So tonight's song lyric is going to be from one of your songs called Lover of Mine. So I'm just going to say some of these lyrics from your song. You're going to tell me what these lyrics mean, what the song means to you. You're just going to kind of give us some background about this. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Pull me into your arms again, and let's forget what the world has to say. Hold me close. Let the fire burn low. We'll whisper the secrets that only we know. Oh, lover of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife and I, we met about 20 years ago. We've been married for 18 years, and we've moved about 11 times doing music.
Wow.
And, yeah, we've moved all over Austin. We were worship leaders for a long time and planted churches and consulted churches for a long time. And we lived everywhere. And we went through this season that was just really difficult, got really frustrated with a lot of the church world. And we were just getting distracted by all these other things. And we just were like, we need to center. We need to take out everything else, all the other distractions, and recenter on each other, because that's what matters. And everything else is going to fade away. But as long as I have you and you have me and we're side by side in step, we're going to be fine. And so that's where that song came out of, was the idea of let's turn off the lights, turn off the distraction, pull me in close to you, let the fire burn low. We don't have anywhere to be. And let's whisper to each other the things that only the two of us know, and just pull back into me. And so that's really one of my favorite songs, actually, that we've written together. And we sing it as a duet, my wife and I together. And it's a call and response. I'll sing to her, and then she'll sing back to me, and I'll sing to her, and back and forth. So,
yeah, I've seen the video. And when I saw it, it truly gave me chills because I love the harmonies and the passion. And I'm just like, and they're married. Like, what? This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we drew a lot of influence, back in the 2010, 2011 era from the Civil Wars. And they were the first kind of folk group to ever really come out that had this couple vibe. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we do. People actually will listen to storytellers and folk music. And so we're like, let's start putting our songs out there. And so, yeah, we love getting to do everything together. We write together, perform together, we record together. She's an amazing producer as well.
Yeah, and that's so cool that there was all this craziness going on around you, and you're like, whoa, whoa, wait, let's just hold up a second. Let's just focus
Oh,
on I. Everything else could be a complete, crazy, chaotic mess, but like
yes.
you and me.
Yep. And that's, I just, and that's the season we've just been through the last 2 years with the world just on fire.
Yeah,
And that us recenter a lot too and realize that, all of these waves around us are going to come and go. Storms are going to come and go. The shoreline's going to change every year of our life, but you and I are in this boat together and we're going to keep sailing forward. And as long as we get where we're going together, we'll figure out what's on that other shore when we get there.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I love that. Oh, that's such a beautiful sense of love, and it's just like it's so awesome to hear.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
Yeah.
I want to start at the very beginning of your childhood because you had a really interesting childhood because both of your parents were musicians,
Yeah.
touring, were in an RV, traveling all over the country, and like you would just be surrounded by music, watching them perform. So I guess bring us back to that time and how do you think that shaped music, your future in music?
Yeah, so my parents back in the 60s and 70s were one of the very first contemporary Christian music groups, rock groups,
Yeah.
back at the Jesus movement. And so they were touring around with Keith Green and Second Chapter of Acts and Bread and all these big, big groups back then, Pat Boone. And so I literally grew up in that. When they kind of moved to Texas and bought this huge 800-acre ranch, my dad built a big recording studio. He was a producer of Word and Sony and Sparrow and Star Song. And so I grew up in a house just with, instead of like family pictures on the wall, it was instruments. It was just every kind of instrument you can imagine, from mandolins to banjos, bass guitars, electric guitars, drums everywhere. My dad had a studio.
Yeah.
And so I grew up like Huck Finn, like running through the woods, barefoot, right on the river, throwing knives and shooting bows and arrows and playing music on the porch. And my grandparents were musicians as well back in the 30s and 40s, and they were married and traveled together. And all of my aunts and uncles were married and traveled together and did music, and all my cousins did music, and for about the last century. And so I just grew up in that world. I grew up in the back of an RV on their way to a gig, or sitting at home with my dad in the studio mixing an album, or writing music on the front porch, or hunting in the woods.
Yeah. That's so cool that like you go in your house and there's musical instruments everywhere. Like it sounds like a music store.
Mm-hmm. It literally was like a music store. I mean, we had every kind of instrument you can imagine that my parents had collected over the years. And so whatever we wanted to learn, we could just reach up on the wall and grab a violin and start to learn, or grab a banjo and start to learn, or grab a guitar and start to learn. Just anything we wanted to pick up, my parents were like, it's there, grab it, take it, do it.
Wow. That's gotta be so cool though, because as a child, like I'm thinking back to my childhood, I'm like, oh, we just had some like games and some like VHS, and we would just like, I'm like, but we did not have access to musical instruments like you did. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't imagine if I just saw a violin. I was like, oh, I'm two. Like, I just want to pick it up.
Yep. Oh, it was so fun. I mean, I started out on piano and when I was really young, and then moved to violin for a little while. And then once I picked up my first guitar when I was probably like 7, it just stuck. It just became, I'm like, this is it. This is my conduit to the universe. This is it. This is my soul and a piece of wood with metal. And
Yeah.
I've never put it down since.
So, okay, tell me about the guitar. What do you love most about it?
So what I love about the guitar is it's a really simple companion. It can take center stage if you want it to, or it can just be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's easy to go places. I'm really a storyteller at heart. I love to tell stories. And so all through our travels, we collect stories from relationships and from the people that we've done life with.
Yeah.
And we tell those stories in ways that can relate to more people. And so it's with the acoustic guitar, it's so easy to do that. You can just walk anywhere with a case and open it up, and you instantly have this conversation partner, just having a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And you can be loud, you can be soft, you can be weeping, you can be dark, you can be bright. It's got all of these emotions kind of bound up in it. And I always used to tell my wife that my guitar was like an ongoing, lifelong conversation. And every time I opened the case, we would just pick up where we left off, and it had new things to tell me about myself I didn't know every time.
Oh my God, I love it. That's so cool. So speaking of conversations of music, for people that are not familiar with you or your story, I just want to share a quote with them.
Yeah.
Music is my first language. English is my second, end quote. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I really young, back before anybody kind of knew what sensory processing disorder was or any of that spectrum stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely had sensory processing, and it was hard for me to tune into things. There was so much noise. It was hard to catch on the conversation. And I always felt like I had trouble communicating. I felt like I couldn't really say what I wanted to say, or I couldn't connect with people's emotions the way I wanted to and get them to feel the way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I picked up a guitar and started writing music and crafting these notes together, I started getting responses from people. I started noticing like, oh, I'm sad and I'm playing these notes and I see their face and they're reflecting that emotion back. They're with me for a minute. We're connecting. And so it just very quickly became, music just became my language to the world. It just became a way for me to connect with someone else's emotions and have this moment in the storm with someone in the crowd or someone in a room, someone in an audience where our stories aligned and they understood what I was saying. And even though they weren't talking, I understood what their face was saying. And we had this moment where our emotions made sense.
Yeah.
And it just became a language for me. It just became the best way that I know to communicate with the people around me through music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And music is so powerful
Yes.
because sometimes you can't find words to even say what you're feeling, but then you hear a piece of music and you're like, that's exactly how I feel. Oh yeah, like that song really speaks to me. It hits me in that place.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And that's what I love so much about music is that even without words, music can do that. And then when you put the right words on top of it as a songwriter, then you have them complementing each other. And that takes it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. So as far as storytelling goes, when did you start writing your own music?
I probably actually started writing when I was about 9. I remember the very first few songs I wrote. I wrote some worship songs with my parents that they would perform. And then I really started writing mainstream music, Americana, folk, country, rock music when I was about 13. I had a band and we were actually touring around Texas when I was about 13, and which is weird, you know, have your parents drive you to a gig and drop you off at 13 and you go to the
Yeah.
gig, take them. But yeah, we were playing coffee shops and even bars and all over the place as a kid. That's when I really started writing to tell stories. Before that, it was more of just writing because my parents would come or someone would say, can you write a song about this? Or can you write a song about this? But then about 13 is when stories started coming out of me. And I started actually like watching people's lives and going, ooh, what an interesting thing that happened. I wonder if there's a way to say that more people could relate to, and it's putting it into a story. And I found every great storyteller, songwriter I could and just soaked up their music, learned how to play guitar by listening to the records. You know, just learned how to tell stories and just have never stopped doing that since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when you listen to a certain song and it's conveyed a certain way, and you're like, yeah, that's, like I said, that's exactly how I feel, but I just don't think I could put it as beautiful as that person did.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for the past 18 years, you and your wife, Amanda, have performed as the Union Revival. So you guys met in college. Can we go back to that day when you first met?
Yeah, so we met very first day. I was sitting out in the hallway in between classes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was studying audio engineering actually to become a studio engineer and a
Mm-hmm.
songwriter. My wife, I remember when she walked in, Amanda, she just immediately changed the atmosphere of the room. Super shy, super quiet.
Yeah.
And we had a group of guys all sitting around playing guitar, talking, working on music. And she walked in and it was just like a scene from a movie where everything stops and goes into slow motion. And everything else kind of faded into tunnel vision. I'm like, who is this woman?
Yeah.
She is magical. Who is she? I don't even know who she is. So I immediately went up and talked to her and asked her name. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't want to just ask her out. That might be weird. It's first day of school. So I've got to figure out a way to get to know her without just straight up being like, oh my gosh, please let me take you to dinner.
Yeah.
So I kind of connivingly asked her if she would work with me on a song that was a project for one of my classes, because then I knew that we'd have to get together every week and practice in the practice room.
Oh!
Sing together and learn the harmonies. And so I like, can you help me? I've got a project due in a month. Can we get together and practice? And she's like, sure. And so we started getting together each week and working on harmonies and talking in between lines and singing together, and just slowly kind of developed this this immediate spark between the two of us. And so actually later in that semester, about 2 months later, I asked her out. And when I know something, I know something. So it's kind of a funny story. When I asked her out, we went on our first date. I actually told her on our first date, I want to marry you, which people were like, oh my God, you didn't do that. But I was like, look, I know right now that I want to spend the rest of my life trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm all in. I feel the same way.
About the first date?
Yeah, first date. And so we started dated for a few months, got engaged shortly thereafter, and got married about 8 months later.
Oh my gosh, that is such an incredible story. And I love how you didn't want to just like, oh, just, come up for coffee or lunch with me. You were like, I have this project. I need your help with it. Because then you got to know who she was.
Yeah.
And you kind of bonded over your first language.
Yeah, absolutely. Our music, my first language. We got to literally develop the first part of our friendship through music. Literally.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Is such an incredible story. I love that you were like, I'm going to marry you. And she's like, yeah, I guess we are going to get married. Like,
yeah, she was like, I'm in. Let's go. This sounds like a great adventure. I'm down. I feel the same way. Let's do it.
Oh my, yeah. And I guess like when you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those weird, I had never believed that was a real thing until that moment. And we were both like, we just know. This is it. This is it. We found it.
So cool.
Yeah.
So I guess this brings me to my next question, which you kind of already answered, but how did you guys decide that you were going to write and perform together?
Well, it all kind of happened. As soon as we started practicing in college and we started doing some songwriting together for classes and things, it became really apparent that we immediately meshed with each other really, really well. She knew where I was going to go before I went there. She knew when to do harmony. I knew when to do harmony. It just like happened. Yeah. And our harmonies have always kind of been, people used to actually ask us when they didn't know we were married, if we were related, because it felt like family members singing. Wow. And we just blended well and meshed well. And so writing is who I am, and it's always been who I am and part of who I am. So right from the very get-go, we were practicing songs that I had written, and she was learning harmonies to songs I had written. Yeah. And she's a fantastic writer and a great communicator. So just right off the bat, she'd go, well, what if you did this? Well, what if we said this instead? What if we went here instead? And it became really, really apparent that it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, we're both holding this different sides of the same tool here, and it works really well. Like, I can bring you something and I trust what you say back to me, and you can bring me something and I trust what you say. And we both have this natural blending together. We both have a good sense of story. And so it just started happening. I mean, a lot of our dates, growing up, a lot of our going through dating, a lot of our time spent together was actually doing music. So it wasn't necessarily like, let's go to dinner and a movie. It was like, let's go play a gig and then get coffee afterward, or let's go sit and write music and then we'll go here. So even our dating was centered around writing music together. It was just literally the seams that sewed together what we were making. It was just part of our relationship.
Yeah, that's so cool, because I've talked to other people who, have a boyfriend or a girlfriend who is a musician as well as them. And I'm like, it's got to be kind of weird though, because there's got to be, maybe I don't like the way that sounds and vice versa, but it sounds like you guys gel really well together. We
do gel, and a lot of it comes from trust too, because I know that at the end of the day, I love her and she loves me, and our ultimate goal is the benefit of each other. Our ultimate goal is our relationship. And so we can push back and forth, we can argue, we can be like, I don't really like that word, let's do this. Oh, okay, I don't really like that word. But it's okay, because we know at the base of it, our goal is not each of us writing our next hit song. The goal is creating something together. So there's trust. There's a trust between us when we're doing that. And it works really well because we're going into it with love and with trust as the foundation. And so it opens the doors and lets the barriers down to be able to try crazy things and go, let's do something really crazy. Let's write a really ridiculous line here. And it's okay. We're not embarrassed because we know the end goal is each other and the story we're telling. So it works really well.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. Like 18 years of it, and just I'm gonna marry you on the first date. I'm like, whoa, this is truly like a movie, Aaron. Like a movie.
It feels like a movie sometimes. It really does. Yeah.
So I guess walk us through your creative process when you guys are writing a song together.
So our creative process, lots of times we'll start with for me, lots of times it'll start with a melody. It'll start with a chord progression or a melody or a feeling, really. I have a feeling and I don't know what the emotion is. I can't put my finger on it. And so I'll just start playing and I'll find notes that like, yeah, that sounds like what I'm feeling. And then I'll bring that to Amanda and go, what do you think about? What does this make you feel? And we'll play through that and she'll kind of start humming a melody and she'll go, kind of feels like this. And then what we'll do is we'll think back in our life. Like I was saying, we're people and we're storytellers. So we love relationships. We love talking to people. We love having conversations with people everywhere we go. We're the ones that will go downtown to go on a date and end up getting sidetracked sitting on the curb with a homeless guy and spending the evening talking to him about his story because we want to hear his story. Yeah. And so as we're playing through the sounds, we'll go, you know what I was thinking about the other day? I was thinking about that guy that we met and we talked to about his daughter and this and that. And then we'll go, oh yeah, what was that story about? And we'll try putting words to that story, to that music. Sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't. And we'll just let it kind of move organically. Sometimes though, a part of our process starts on the other end of the spectrum and it literally starts with a story. We'll be talking and she'll say something or I'll say something and we'll go, oh my gosh, that needs to be something someone hears. That's worth hearing. And we'll craft the storyline and then we'll do the same thing. How does that story make me feel? Does it make me feel hopeful, angry, sad? Then we'll go to the instruments and try to find the notes that tell the same emotion to go underneath of it. So either way, it really gets down to whether it starts with music or words, it really comes down to how does this thing, this story, this melody, these words, how does this make me feel? And how do we want others to feel after they've heard it? What do we want them to go home with? Right? And then we try to craft the words and the sound and the feel and the music all around that to just be the bed for that feeling.
So are you writing things down? Are you taking notes somewhere? Or is it just kind of like, oh, I'm in the studio, I'm just kind of messing around the guitar a little bit and then something comes to you? Or is it like a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. On my iPhone, I think I have like 23,000 voice memos.
Oh my God.
So I'm like all throughout the day, I'm like, oh, that's a great line. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a cool story. Oh, I just saw this girl with her daughter and she said this. And oh my gosh, what a beautiful line. And so I've got all these notes and then I'll write them. I'll take the note and I'll type it out, kind of sit with it a little bit and then come back, show it to Amanda, type it out. What about this? What if it said this? And then I'll pick up my guitar because I usually pick up my guitar every day. And I'll just start playing, just start messing around and I'll scroll through notes and go, ooh, well, that's a 4-beat progression and that's in 4/4 time and those lyrics are in 4/4 time. Maybe that would fit. And then we'll kind of try to piece them together and see what matches, see what fits. Every now and then, that whole idea of like, that you hear about artist inspiration and you light candles and then lightning strikes you and it just happens. Very seldom I feel like that actually happens. There's been a few times when I would just sit down and write a song and the whole song would just come out, would spill out. But most of the time it's like putting together a puzzle. It's like finding the right pieces and the right notes and trying something and it doesn't work. It's very much like our marriage relationship or your relationship with anybody. It's push and pull and back and try and fail and figure it out as you go. And eventually after you've done it long enough, you learn the rhythm and those moments get easier. So, 18 years into doing this now, lots of times we can have an idea and sit down and in about 20 or 30 minutes have most of a song done because we've fallen and stood up and failed and pushed and tried so many times, we've kind of found the rhythm of what works and what doesn't work, so it comes faster.
Yeah. And it's important to have like a good groove because after 18 years, like you've already established it. It's not like, oh, we've known each other 5 months, we're still trying to figure it out. Like you have it down to a science.
Yeah, we've got it down to where, like the quote that I said, it's our language. It comes out of us a lot like English. We sit down to write, and it just comes out because of that relationship of back and forth for so long. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of great songwriters are that way. People are always amazed when they see a video of like a John Mayer or someone like that sit down and this song just pours out. Like, how'd you do that? Well, it's because he's written a million songs that didn't quite work over 20 years to the point now where it just comes out because he's pushed it and pushed it and pushed it so much.
Right. And I think like when you use the muscle enough, it just kind of like it comes second nature. Like right. I said, if you've only been doing this 3 months, you probably have some difficulty in doing it. But because you've been around music and practically everybody you know is a musician, you're married to a musician, you're always collaborating, and there's instruments everywhere. It's kind of like, I think I got this.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. It really becomes like a muscle you use every day, and it just becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm. So you said that you pick up your guitar every day. Do you have like, I have to play every day for 3 hours, or do you like wake up and play, or what does that look like?
So for me, it's just this urge. Like you wake up in the morning and you just know you have to drink coffee. You make coffee. Yeah. So it's kind of that same thing. Like I will just at any given point during the day, multiple times a day, evening or whatever, it's just okay, well, we just finished watching that show. I'm gonna grab my guitar, or I'm gonna get a cup of coffee and grab my guitar. And it's just part of, it's like having a pocket knife or always having your wallet in your pocket. It routinely finds itself in my hands throughout the day. And again, it's because that's how I relate to the world. If I've got all these feelings in me that I can't quite figure out the words for, and I don't know where to place them, when I put the guitar in my hand, it just becomes this bridge that starts giving me words to those feelings. Like I may be mad and not even know I'm mad. And halfway through playing something with my guitar, I'll go, oh man, this is what's bugging me. All of a sudden, it's like I'll have words for the feeling I had and I didn't even know because the music was actually drawing it out of me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just a part of our everyday routine.
Yeah, that's gotta be so cool though to be in your household and there's just music everywhere. Like maybe your wife's singing in the kitchen and then you're in the other room on the guitar, and I'm like, whoa, that's gotta be so cool for your kids.
Yeah, there's music everywhere. And my kids have dabbled in a bunch of different instruments, but they haven't quite decided where they want to land yet. Yeah. They both love music. My son is really into acting and he loves writing. He loves telling stories. My daughter's done guitar, bass, violin, piano, all the things. And she hasn't quite settled on what she wants. And of course, I told her, you don't have to pick one, pick all of them. Yeah. And so we'll see. I mean, they may end up really digging into music. They may become a different type of creative into art. My daughter's an artist as well. They might be writers. They might be storytellers. We don't know. But it's just, there's always some sort of creation happening for sure in the house.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. What a cool way to grow up.
It's fun. I love it. I mean, my kids are so creative, and we're always trying to find something to build or make or draw or sing or find new music. My daughter loves introducing me to music I've never heard before because she's on TikTok and I'm not, so she knows all the new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. We really love it.
Oh, that's so cool. So you were on a show called The Voice earlier this year.
Season 20.
Have to talk about the blind audition. Like when you sang Ordinary World by Duran Duran, I was just like, my jaw was on the ground because I'm like, yes, thank you for someone who's not going to sing some like top 40 pop hit. I'm like, yes, someone brought it back to like this phenomenal song.
Yes.
And I was so happy that you did it. You killed it. Like so much passion and emotion. And even the judges were like, you're a true musician. Like you are a musician through and through. So talk to me about picking that song and why it was so important to you.
So when you when you get asked to audition and you fly out and you're preparing and stuff, they give you a big long list, like hundreds and hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
To pick from. So hopefully anything that you would want to pick would be on there anyway. And they have to do that because of licensing and stuff. You can't just kind of blindly come in and go, I'm going to do this song. You know, it has to be cleared. And I went through the list, and I was like, man, this is all top 40 country, or like Motown, or just these classics and things. And I'm like, I don't feel connected to these songs at all. So I was really distraught because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do here. I need something that's got like a depth of emotion and like a really good story to it. And my wife goes, oh my God, babe, they have Ordinary World on here. So the backstory is when I was 8, because I had Christian parents in the Christian music industry, I wasn't allowed to listen to pop radio because it was secular, right? So my brother would secretly put in a tape and record top 40 radio stations and make me mixtapes of all the music I needed to know about in the world that I wasn't allowed to listen to. And that song was the first song on the first mixtape that he made me when I was 9, and I wore it out. So my first introduction to mainstream music was Ordinary World. So I have been singing that song. I sing it in the shower. I didn't even know I did this. But my wife was like, babe, you've been singing that song and humming it in the background everywhere we go for like 20 years. That's your song. Like that was the first secular song you ever learned to sing.
Yeah.
And it literally was connected to me from when I was 9. So as soon as I saw it, I thought, no one's done 80s on this show. I've got to do this song. This is my song. So
yeah.
I'm so glad to get to be able to perform that song and have such a connection to it already, because I've been singing it my whole life.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that first they had it on the list because, right, like, you're right, all these top 40 songs, you're like, no, I don't want to do that because you could go the easy, do top 40, whatever.
Sure.
No, like, I feel like with the people that watch the show, whether they know Duran Duran, they know that song, or they have no idea who it is, it just, people are like, well, what was that song? It was really cool. So I just feel like the younger generation can be like, I loved Aaron singing that song. Who was that band? And it can bring visibility to such a rockin' band.
Yeah, I know. And such an amazing era of music, too. Like, it totally brings back into light all these incredible 80s. There were so many great storytellers in the 80s. You like Pat Benatar, and you have U2, and you have Ordinary World. You have, like Duran Duran. You have all of these incredible bands, Madonna, who were telling these insanely incredible stories. And this generation all of a sudden is getting reintroduced to that, which I love, because now it's not, a lot of pop music today too is a lot just about like the beat and the music and the feel. And I don't hear a whole lot of like really true storytellers out there, but a lot of 80s was that. And so I love that. I've always been a big 80s child.
Yeah, I think the 80s music, it was just like you had a lot of synth, but a lot of good storytelling, and it was like very simple. Like there was no such thing as auto-tune. There was no such thing as like all this other weird stuff. No. It was true 80s pop music. Like I think of Aha Take on Me, and I think of that video.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
And I remember watching the video, and it was really simple, right? It was just like the white and black drawing, and I was like, but like that song is so absolutely iconic.
I know. And I grew up listening to all of that stuff. Once I got turned on to mainstream music, and then early on in my teens, that was like, finally my parents were like, okay, you can listen to music. I was like Men Without Hats and U2 and UB40 and Madonna, and like, oh my gosh, I'm in. All the way. So I listened to that stuff all the time growing up.
Yeah. And I love that, like, you were listening to it because you had to, they didn't want you to listen to it. But then it was like you got introduced to the best music of the 80s.
I know. Totally. Yeah.
So let's go back to the blind audition. You killed it. John and Blake turned around. Why did you end up going with Blake Shelton?
So I was confident I was going to pick John.
Yeah.
Because John is a soul singer, right? And he's got just these singer-songwriter, deep soul roots in him, which vibes with me a lot. And even in the video on the audition, you can see my wife in the background going, come on, John, come on, John. Like, she wanted John. And I thought I was going to pick him. But then when Blake started talking to me, The last 10 years or so, I've kind of really leaned into this Americana indie folk vibe. Even though I write rock and roll, I write country music, I write all different other kinds of music too. That's kind of my lane, I feel like. And when Blake started talking, he started talking about family and started talking about growing up on the farm and about like loving how much he gets to spend time with his wife, out on his ranch. And I just immediately was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can connect with you in our stories. Like, I think our storyline and where we've been, and all of my rest of my family lives in Nashville, and so they're part of that world. He's part of that world, and I just kind of felt like, you know what, I think we would mesh well together because of our backstories, because of how we grew up and the things that we value. I already know right off the bat, and I know John's an amazing family guy as well. I just kind of immediately thought, Blake knows country, he knows singer-songwriter, he knows Americana, and there was just something about what he was saying that connected to me. And I thought, I'm gonna do Blake. I'm gonna go with Blake.
Yeah, I think because you're a storyteller and because Blake is a storyteller and he's like, yeah, on the farm. And then you're like, your mind thinks of like when you were growing up on the farm. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, more childhood than
Blake's the guy.
Blake's my guy.
Rivers. I love it. So, yeah.
So tell me what Blake is like as a coach.
Do what?
Tell me what Blake is like as a coach.
Blake was great. I mean, he is exceptionally kind. I was really, really pleasantly surprised at how encouraging he was, how kind he was. He is just, when you're with him, he's your number one fan. I mean, 100% of the time, he's your biggest fan in the room. And I loved a lot about that. He literally is in real life like he is on the show. He just says whatever he thinks. Like, if he thinks something, he says it. And I deeply respect that, because I'm very much that same way. And so I want to be around somebody who is like, if this sucks, you're going to tell me. If this is great, you're going to tell me. And I know you're going to mean it both times.
Right.
And you're saying it because you like me, because you care, not to be mean. And that's the vibe I got from him, when we would do rehearsals and things. He says what he thinks. If he thinks something needs to be different, he means it. He's not just blowing smoke. And if he says it was amazing, he means it, And that was really great to have him, knowing he's so honest, so straightforward, says what he thinks, but deep down it's coming from this place of kindness, because he's your biggest fan.
Yeah, I like that, because you want to be around truthful people, and it's important that he's like, maybe not like that. Try it this way. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not like offended, but like, I know that you're looking out for, you're looking out for me. Like, you're not going to steer me in the wrong direction. And I'm not offended that you don't like it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, we've always tried to surround ourselves with those kind of people in the music business too. I would rather have somebody tell me they hate something I just played for them, and I trust them and I know that they meant it, than be around a bunch of people telling me I'm amazing and awesome when it's not. I ain't nobody got time for that.
No, you can't be around yes people, because it's kind of like, I know that the truth is going to help me more than just you saying, yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. And it's like, no, but can you give like constructive criticism? Like, I'm not going to freak out. Like,
yes, exactly.
As a creative person. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I feel like you can't surround yourself with yes people.
Nope.
Yeah. No. So what was one of the most memorable times that you had on The Voice?
So I'd have to say one of the most memorable times was a collection of times. Each day, at the end of the day, we got to have some free time, and we got to go out into this courtyard and hang out with people. Yeah. So all kind of social distance and stay a little bit away from each other, so we could do that outside, but actually get to know people. And for me, like I said, I grew up in a family of pastors and musicians. I grew up as a worship pastor. I've led worship in churches for years and years. I'm actually an ordained pastor for the last 23 years. And I love people. I love people. And I love getting to carry people's stories. I don't want to just listen to people. I want to hear them, and I want to take their story with me and carry it. And so my favorite part was really when all the artists on season 20 in the evenings would just sit out in this courtyard right up until, bedtime. And we would just talk, and we would get to hear everyone's backgrounds, and where they came from and the struggles that they've been through and how they ended up here on The Voice and where it is they wanted to go and their dreams. And, you know, I literally feel like I made some of my best friends while out there on the show. That'll be my best friends for a long time. And we still talk and text. I was just texting with Rain Stern actually today. And was texting with Connor, my battle partner, yesterday. And, you know, it's just, that to me was the greatest part. The stage feels like home to me. And I don't say that in like an arrogant way. I say that because I've probably spent most of my life on the stage, as opposed to off the stage. And so the stage feels natural. It feels like home. The band and the music and the lights, that feels comfortable. The uncomfortable part is actually that when you're sitting a foot away from someone's face and you're hearing the depth of their heart and their story and their broken heart, and you're being given the responsibility to carry that with them, like that can be terrifying. And so that was the part I loved the most. The stage was awesome. I loved getting to perform. I loved the band. I don't want to be famous. I'm not super interested in being a super reality TV star. You know, I mean, it was an amazing opportunity and I will never forget it. But really, I went out there for the relationships. I went out there because I wanted to be a part of these people's stories. The coaches, the producers, the people behind the scenes, the people who do the audio, the artists. I wanted to be part of their story and get to carry their story with me. So that was my favorite part. All of getting to just be around those incredible people and artists and get to carry home with me a part of their life and continue writing the story together.
That's so beautiful because you're sitting there and you're like hanging out in the courtyard and people are opening up to you and telling you things, maybe things they've never said in their entire life, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you hold that story with you. And then guess what? Maybe in 6 months from now, that becomes part of a song.
Right. Yeah. And we get to, and it's like we get to continue because we shared this moment.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, that moment will be remembered and it will spark the next chapter of friendship or the next chapter of a story, you know? And that's about gigs too. Like my favorite part about performing live is those little moments in songs when I'll catch someone's eyes. See that they're remembering something or they're thinking about something that those lyrics caught them and they go, oh my gosh, you too, I'm not alone. That wasn't just me that felt that way. Like you have a story about that too. And I'll have those moments where I'll connect with someone. And to me, that makes the whole performance worthwhile because it's like we jotted down a little note on that paper in our stories. And then years from now later, they'll remember and I'll remember. And it just keeps growing.
Yeah, that's the power of music and the power of live shows because, maybe somebody's singing your lyrics back at you or they're listening so intently to your story and they're like, oh, wow, like that brings me back to when I was like 10 and like I was doing this. And then like they're thinking of it in their head and then you lock eyes with them and it's just like more intense of a moment.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your leather company, 1850 Waco. So when did you start this company and what does it mean?
So this was, it's funny because this was also connected to music. In 2014, I moved back to Waco with my family from Austin. We had been part of starting a church in Austin and then we moved back to Waco and I had no job. Like we had nothing at all. Moved back, we were staying with family members. We didn't have a house. We didn't have any work, nothing. And until I could start getting gigs and start doing music in Waco again, which is where I grew up.
Yeah.
Well, one day I was like, I need a wallet. So I went and bought some leather from Hobby Lobby and I watched a bunch of videos and learned how to make a wallet. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This will work. And a friend saw it and said, can you make me one? Sure. Great. I'll make you one. So then I really started going, okay, this is really fun. I like doing this. And the process of making things out of leather to me feels a lot like music because I'm holding this piece of leather in front of me and in my head, I'm picturing what it's going to be and do at the end. I'm seeing someone use it. I'm seeing someone pulling this out of their pocket to pay for dinner on a date or to pay for a kid buying something at the store or a bag that carries snacks to the movies for a mom, you know, with her kiddos. And I see the stories down the line. And so I started just really getting into making things out of leather because I love the process of the nuts and bolts and like picking chords for a song. What should I use? What should I put where? How should I cut it? How should I shape it? All to get to the end to have this thing that I could give to somebody and they would use, and it would become a part of their life. And I'm thinking, oh, this is just like music. I love it. And so yeah, I just started making leather, and it grew and grew, and ended up getting contracted here in Waco to make leather for back before Magnolia and the Fixer Upper show. Joanna and Chip had this little shop where she sold a bunch of her stuff, and so she called me and asked me to start making leather goods for her for a shop and making her jewelry and earrings and all these things. So I started making leather for her, and then they opened their big shop, and I did that for a while for them and was making products for other people and stuff. And eventually it got just so big. I kind of intentionally moved it to the back burner, and I was like, I love doing this, but I don't want to do this as a career. Like, I'm going to make this my side thing because I love it so much. But music I've got to put more energy. Gigs started happening. We started doing an album and things. And so, but I've always done it on the side. So the last 6 or 7 years, I've had this little company, and I make custom things for people and custom orders when people call. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's very interesting that you said, oh my God, I just didn't want to grow it to this big thing, because like, I didn't want that to be my full time. Like, I want to do music full time and do this on the side. So I like that you were self-aware and you were like, no. Music is the first. Leather is the second. But you know, obviously can make, I mean, if you're contracted and you're working and you're doing all these pieces, you can make a really amazing living doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. It's been a great little side hobby because, you know, there's seasons where music ebbs and flows. You know, especially like this last year, there was nowhere to play. You know, there were no shows. And so it's been a great little side thing to do. More than a hobby, it's kind of an extension of music to me, because it feels the same to me as writing a song, as creating this piece of leather art. Yeah. And so it's been a great little side thing, and I love doing it. I love when someone calls me and they're like, oh my gosh, I've always dreamt of having this bag made just like this with these pockets and this leather, and I want to carry it and give it to my kids, and I want it to last forever. And so I get to take their dream, and I get to craft this amazing bag for them and be like, here's your bag, go make stories, you know, go make memories. That's really fun to me. So I love getting to do that.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. So for people who are not familiar with the company, where can they find you? Where can they see your stuff? How can they contact you when it comes to?
Yeah. So in my profile, in my bio, there's a Linktree link. And if you'll tap that link, it pulls up links to our music, links to how you can fund our music, our Spotify, and there's a link there to my leather company, 1856 Supply. And you can click right there, and it'll literally take you into the store. And you can look at it and see the backstory, how to order, how to contact me. I try to put everything right there in that link tree, so you can just go to the Instagram, follow, hit that link tree, and you can get to the leather side of what I do and to the songwriting side of what I do all in one spot.
Yeah, so guys, if you haven't seen his stuff, go to it after the interview, because we're still in the interview, but go to it after and place an order, because his stuff is so awesome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your merch, because your merch is pretty awesome too. So for people who are not familiar with your merch, what do you recommend that they get from your merch store?
Well, I love quirky and weird things. So like when I'm designing, I didn't just want to have t-shirts that say, you know, Aaron Konzelman or the Union Revival. I wanted fun things that people could get from us, and they would connect to us and know that they bought it from us. But weren't necessarily just like my name and logo on it, you know, because I like to create things that start conversations, you know. So I just started designing these really wacky, quirky shirts. Like I have one that says humble with just a hint of Kanye. Yeah. And then, you know, I've got another one like, you know, I love whiskey and maybe 3 people. The queens of country, you know, Dolly and Reba, and it's got all the names and the kings of country, and just fun. Yeah. We've got tons of stuff like that on our shop. I love designing. Again, design is just another type of storytelling. And so we've done lots of shirts, we've done mugs, stickers, all kinds of things in that shop. And there are some actual shirts that have like my logo, which is just a silhouette of my hat and my beard. It's this basically with a silhouette. And whenever I wear it out, people are like, did you know your shirt matches your face? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I meant it that way. Um, and so that's kind of my logo, is just the beard, the silhouette beard with the head. And we've got a bunch of those, and then just a bunch of really fun music, art, pop culture related shirts and cool gear and stuff on there, because I want people to get something. I know people want to buy it because they want to support us and our music, but I also want them to have something that they just love and people see it and laugh, and I want to ask them where they got it, and oh, that's so hilarious, and we're, because I want to spark conversation. So we have a ton of really cool shirts on there.
Yeah, I think it's really important that when you make something, you want it to start conversation, because someone's like, what, who is this guy with this beard on your shirt? And then someone's like, oh, you don't know him? And then like they just bond over the music, and they say, oh yeah, you got to check out this guy Aaron, he's so awesome.
Yeah, that was my whole goal with all of the stickers and everything, was I wanted people to see it and be like, oh, what is that? Oh, where'd you get that? And start a conversation. That's kind of the whole goal, rather than I bought shirts before and, I wear them a few times and then I'm kind of like, it's a cool looking graphic, but I love when I get to wear my Kanye shirt out. Everywhere I go in the grocery store, people are walking by me and they're looking and they go, ha! And then walk on by and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, me too. And I love that, because it's like, yes, we're laughing together. We're making it, we're breaking the ice, And so my dad used to always say, walk softly and wear a loud t-shirt. And so that was kind of the mindset that I went into it with.
Oh, I love that quote. I haven't heard it before, but I'm so into it.
Yeah.
So, I heard a few weeks ago someone stole your guitar.
Yes.
Did it come back? What's the update on that?
Yeah. So my whole life I've been looking for this one particular vintage Gibson guitar. It was my favorite guitar ever made. Only made, and this particular one was made in 1958. There was like maybe 100 or 200 of these made, and I found one about 10 years ago in Austin, and I went and sold all of my other guitars, all my other instruments to buy it. Still didn't have enough, and then a really good friend of ours called me and was like, hey, I just paid for the rest of it for you. It's waiting at the store, because I knew you didn't have enough to get it, so I bought the rest of it for you. It's ready for, gotcha. So I went and picked it up, and that's been my guitar for 10 years. 100 to 120 shows a year for the last 10 years, leading worship every Sunday at the churches we planted for the last 10 years. We wrote our album on it. It's my only guitar. And somebody stole it out of my truck from my driveway about 2 weeks ago. And I never leave my instruments in the car, but I had just come home we're writing a new album together with some friends of ours. And I had just come home from writing with her, one of the girls. And I'd come home, was going to run in the house real quick and make coffee. And so I just locked it in my truck in front of my house, and I was going to go right back out and go somewhere, and somebody took it.
Wait, so yeah. It literally happened in like 10 minutes?
It literally, it could have been anywhere from like 10 minutes to 45 minutes. Somebody took it. And yeah, it just, it was there, and I went in, came back out, it's gone. So yeah, it's crazy. There's no, I don't have any leads on it yet. It's out. This is a borrowed one. One of my friends loaned me another old Gibson for a while just to use. And so yeah, our Waco's amazing. Our town is really incredible. And as soon as I posted it on Facebook, one of our fans on Facebook, a good friend of ours, immediately created a GoFundMe for us. And she was like, here's a GoFundMe. Go help Aaron get his guitar back. And all these people start coming to try and help. And so we've got a GoFundMe going right now, and all these Waco people are just really texting me going, I've got a guitar you can borrow. I've got a guitar you can borrow. And just great relationships, but it's sad. It was my baby of a guitar, and super hard to replace just because it's 70 years old and it's kind of one of a kind. But also all the memories in that guitar. So, but it goes on.
Yeah, because it's like you didn't really have enough to get it at the beginning, and someone helped pay for it for you, and then it just was with you for such a long time, and that's just so unfortunate that someone had to do that. Like, really?
I know.
Like, you literally go in someone's car and steal someone's guitar? That's so messed up.
I even put out, I tried to do what Willie Nelson did, and I put out a blurb that just said, hey, if you bring it back, no questions asked. I don't go to jail. And in fact, if you need money to help pay your bills, I will help you. I just, please bring my guitar back, you know? I just would love to get it back. And, but it's, you know, like I was saying, we have a really supportive community here in Waco. We have a lot of people that love us, that we've been playing music with and for a long time, and a great community. And so our local news station did a story on it and interviewed me. The paper did a story on it. Our Waco chamber released a thing about it, like Help Aaron. And so it's been really great. I mean, people have really come out and to support us and stuff. And I'm hoping I'll get to see it again someday.
Yes, please, guys, if you're in the Waco area, please, please, please help Aaron get his guitar back, because it's not just a guitar. It has so many more memories for Aaron.
Yeah.
Like, he's playing this guitar every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. Yep.
So I want to talk to you about what's coming up in 2021. Live shows, collaborations, singles, EPs.
Yeah.
Shows where you're opening up for John Conley. So can we elaborate on what's to come in the next few months?
Yeah, so we will be doing 3 nights with John Conley up in Grapevine, Texas, and then up in Fort Worth, and then in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the dates and stuff all on our site, and you can there's ticket links, I think, on Facebook to the events. But you can also just search, you know, John Conley dates, and you can find them. And then we do a lot of private events. So we have a big event. We were asked to sing for the Magnolia team, the Fixer Upper team, and all their staff here in Waco at Magnolia. They're doing a staff appreciation event coming up. And so we're going to do a private concert for all the people that work for Magnolia.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing another conference, like a private concert, celebration concert here in town as well, for a really large group of photographers, marketing photographers that work on the Magnolia magazine and a bunch of other magazines as well. They're all coming to town to do, you know, to talk and kind of have this big celebration. And so we're doing a private event for them. And we're going to be playing at a place here in Waco called Brotherwell Brewery, which is the newest brewery in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
Huge, beautiful outdoor deck area, food trucks. It's like a big food truck park, all that stuff. So we're doing a concert there on the 24th.
Cool.
We actually are working on a new album. We love to co-write with people. And so there's a couple here in town named Brett and Emily Mills that we've known for years and years. And they've been full-time musicians for 20 years as well, or plus as well. They've traveled and toured. They've been writing together as a couple for years. And we've just done life with them and kind of adopted them as our family for about the last 19 years. And we do vacations with them. We write with them. We perform with them. And so we decided to do an album, a co-album of the 4 of us, about family, about the families we're born into and the families we choose to make as we go through life. And relationships of friends and brothers to brothers and sisters to sisters and parents to children, and passing the torch on. And so the whole album is going to be probably on vinyl, lots of old vintage photos and stories in it about how we grew up. And each of the songs is going to kind of tell this arc of a story. We're also going to be producing hopefully a short documentary film while we record it about the process of recording. So we're going to film ourselves writing the music and recording the music together at this house.
Yeah.
And, stay together in the house, film the whole process, and then put out videos of each of the songs with the album. Be a journaling guide for families with prompts, how to start conversation that comes out with the album. So
wow.
Listen to the songs. They can take it. They can, you know, have story time with their families and read the prompts and write down memories of the day. And so we want to encourage people to own the stories of their lives and to tell the stories of their lives, especially to their kids. And so that's kind of what the whole project is going to be. We're working on that for the next couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're also doing another documentary. An independent filmmaker contacted us a little while back and wants to make a short film about our life and how I grew up and our married life of writing, the process of writing music, how we write music from living room to stage.
Yeah.
And so we're working on filming that right now too, all through the fall.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. So for all the beautiful people watching right now, where can they find you on your social media?
So they can find me on Aaron Konzelman, at Aaron Konzelman, which is the channel. Hopefully they're watching right now. They can also find the Union Revival.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere online they go, the Union Revival is my wife and I. So unionrevival.com, YouTube Union Revival, Facebook Union Revival, Instagram Union Revival, Spotify Union Revival. All of the music we've put out over the last 20 years has all been together as a duo. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of that music and content is doubled on my channel. So you can go to Aaron Konzelman and find the same stuff, or go to Union Revival and it's mostly the same stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be releasing a few singles of myself as a solo person this fall as well. Hopefully with a studio up in Boston that I just got connected with, but everything else, the Union Revival. Yeah.
Awesome. And for people watching right now that want to support you as a musician, what do you recommend that they do?
Well, so buying music is great. I love it when people want to buy our music and download it. We also have a link, and it's in our link tree on both of our channels that just says support us. And basically what it is it's like an ongoing GoFundMe, and we continually list things that we're trying to do and projects we're trying to do so that people can support. They can go on there and basically donate and say, hey, I just want to support you guys, support your work on this album. Here's $25, and we'll make sure you get an album when it comes out. We'll make sure you get something back for it. Rather than trying to do like a Kickstarter or something like that, we just have an ongoing support tab. And as people support us, we try to provide back for them. Hey, we've got a show coming up. Here's 4 tickets for it. Or we'll save you 4 seats in the front row. Or, thank you so much for that, $100. That's going to go into the album. We're going to put you down the bottom of the album. And so it's like an ongoing lifelong Kickstarter. In addition to downloading music and merch, things like that always helps us too. And so right now we have that GoFundMe for the guitar, trying to get the guitar back right now. And then, but all those links are in the link tree. They can go on there and they can just monetarily give us a gift, and we will pay it back to you. We'll give you back something awesome from our music, or you can go on there and buy merch from there. You can buy music from there. You can connect us on Spotify, so tell more people about our music, or go right to the GoFundMe.
Yeah, share the music, like the music, support musicians. It's so important. This is not done for free. Like, there's costs that go into getting the music out there.
Absolutely, there is a lot of. Yep.
Yeah. So that's all the questions I have for you this evening, Aaron. But you're going to perform for us.
Yes. I'm gonna give you a few songs here. So I'll give you kind of a happy, nice, upbeat one to start with. It's called Church House, and it's just about falling in love for the first time. And of course, it's centered around a church house because that's where all my first kisses were growing up as a church kid. So there's an old church house on the edge of town. They say lovers go there to lay their burdens down. So take my hand, let's go tonight. There's some things I must tell you. Don't be afraid, it'll be alright. Come lay your healing hands on me. 'Cause I once was blind, but now I see. I'm just a prodigal looking for life. Well, I may be lost, I'm gonna be found in your arms tonight. Well, we've all got our demons, we're all broken to bed. We're all hiding scars, baby, oh, deep down in our chest. So take a chance on me, you might be surprised. Oh, and what if we fall? Oh, but what if we fly? Come lay your healing hands on me. I once was blind, oh, but now I see. I'm just a prodigal looking for the light. Well, I may be lost, I'm gonna be found in your arms tonight. We all need redemption, we all need release from the chains that hold us, nobody can see. So let's go to the altar, let's go to where we just might find heaven. Only one way to tell. Come lay your healing hands on me. 'Cause I once was blind, but now, girl, I see. I'm just a prodigal looking for the light. I may be lost, I'm gonna be found in your arms tonight. Oh, I may be lost, I'm gonna be found in your arms tonight. Your arms tonight.
Woo! Give it up for Aaron.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So amazing voice.
All right, I'll give you a slow one. This was a song that my wife and I wrote together, and it just goes. It's just about learning to say goodbye and knowing that you'll be with someone forever, knowing that death can't separate you. You'll always be near them. So. There's a train rolling in. I can hear the whistle coming on the wind. Maybe it'll bring my love back to me, and maybe it'll take her away again. All the love I have is yours to take. So careful with me, lest this heart should break. Hold me in your arms until the break of day, until that train comes to take me away. Oh, don't you cry when I'm gone. No, don't you shed a tear, for I will find you in your dreams. Oh, I will meet you there. Oh, I will meet you there. Oh, oh, don't you cry when I'm gone. No, don't you shed a tear,
That was so beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Such a beautiful song because it's like you are going to see that person again.
That's right. That's right.
And I think when you're grieving, it's so hard to like process those emotions and you're like, oh my gosh, but like I'm never going to see them again.
Yeah. And, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing, like it says in there, if the train's going to come take you away or bring you home. I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow is, but I know that you are with me. You'll always be with me, and I'll always be with you no matter what.
Yeah, that's, oh my gosh, such beautiful storytelling. And thank you, Tom. Tom says beautiful. Yes, so much. So do you have time for a couple questions?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
So guys, if anybody has questions for Aaron, please feel free to put them in the comment box below.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few people in here, actually, that I know from the voice.
Very cool. I know. I saw a couple of names pop in here.
Yeah, I saw Savannah, and Savannah Woods was in there, and a few other folks. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
What song do you wish you wrote and why?
Ooh, what song do I wish I wrote and why? Okay. It was a song I almost did on the show that I wish I could have done. It was I Can't Make You Love Me.
Oh my God. Yes.
I think Victor did it, and
yeah,
that is just that's the other song that I walk around my house humming. Like, I just can't get that out of my head, and just because it's so poignant, it's like, oh my gosh, how much of our life and our time and energy is wasted wishing we could make someone feel about us the way we want them to, and
right.
Says that so beautifully in that song. It's just, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's easily one of my favorite songs ever written of all time.
Oh, it's such a beautiful song. So it was a toss-up between the two songs then, right? It was a toss-up between that one and Ordinary World?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I just decided for the audition, just to come out of the gate, I needed to do Ordinary World. Because of my backstory with it, my connection to it, and it's just a powerhouse of a song. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. But yeah, if I had gone one step further into the Beyond the Battles, then I would have. I was going to do that one.
Yeah, such an incredible song.
Yeah, yeah.
What does success mean to you?
Success to me means that I have made a difference in somebody's story. Mm-hmm. I really, like I was saying, we've played. Sometimes it's hard to think, gosh, I've been doing this for 20 years and, I've written something like 160 songs and played 100 shows a year, and I'm not on the radio. I'm not, sometimes that thought hits my head.
Yeah.
But for me, the goal line has always been to make a difference in someone's life. And I have this piece of paper that I keep. We were doing a gig about 8 years ago, and there was this guy and a girl sitting and listening the whole time. And I thought they were a couple, but it turns out they were brother and sister. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the night, I'm digging through our tip jar, and in the bottom of the tip jar is this little piece of paper with writing on it. And the writing says, thank you so much for making my sister smile tonight, because I don't have many more months to see her smile.
Oh my God.
And I've held that my whole life. I still have it on my dresser. And I look at that and remember, when I'm like, what am I doing here? Am I making a difference? And I remember that's my goal line. My goal line is for somebody to message me or not message me, or to let me know years later or not, whatever, but to know that for just an instant they're telling a story or singing a song or helping them feel something. It changed their trajectory. It made a moment that they'll remember, that will affect them, that will make them more into who they want to be, will help them love better, will help them love deeper, will help them grow into what they want to grow into. That to me is the goal line. And when I get that feedback from someone and that reminder, like that little note, I'm like, that was a successful gig. I made $50. Who cares? That was a successful show because it made a difference to somebody.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think it's so important. Like, if a song affects you and it brings you back to a time and makes you realize something, reach out to that musician and tell them, like, because it means so much to you. Yeah. If someone says, oh yeah, like even that simple little thing that somebody wrote on a piece of paper, And you're just like, yeah, like, and when did you get that? How many years ago was
This
that?
was probably about 8 years ago.
And you still,
Yeah, I still have it. We had just moved back to Waco, and this was in that time period when we had no job. We were living in the back room of a family member's house. We had nothing,
yeah.
and got this gig. It was our first gig in Waco from moving home after being gone for years. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was in the bottom of the tip jar. So
Wow.
it's on my dresser next to my wedding ring.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's so important to sometimes when we have these crazy days, right? These ups and these downs, it's like, why are we doing what we're doing? And it's so important to have that reminder
Yes.
and look like how often do you think you look at that?
Oh, regularly. Probably easily once a month. I'll stop and look at it. And I'll when I'm putting my rings on in the morning or something, I'll see it and I know that it's there. So I see it all the time, but I'll actually stop and look at it and remember that evening, often. I mean, often. And it is a reminder. It's just, especially like after this last year we went through with everything being shut down and,
Yeah.
I mean, I know in the grand scheme of things, not being able to play gigs and stuff is not that great, not that huge of a thing. But for those of us that do music and do music for our life, it was like, oh my God, it's like if you all of a sudden couldn't talk for a year,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell the world how you felt or express for
Right.
a whole year. Like, oh my gosh, it's painful. And so, now trying to come out of it and figure out, how do we do this? How do we, what's happening now? Am I still making a difference to people? And so I'll look at that a lot and remember, every little, and it reminds me to never miss a chance.
Right.
Never just stand in an elevator with somebody. Never miss the chance to connect with another human being. And even if it's for a second, leave a brush stroke on their canvas of something that was good. Leave kindness. Just never ever miss a Starbucks line or a grocery store line or standing in a waiting room waiting for your oil to get changed in your car. Like, to me, all of those moments are not just moments, like they're opportunities to connect with another person's story. And so I read that all the time. It reminds me to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing because you never know. Like you could just literally be getting gas and the person next to you
Yeah. Yeah.
never know where an opportunity could come from.
Yeah. Where they could change your life and you could change theirs too.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just a smile or a nod. You're
Exactly.
wearing your shirt and someone has a good chuckle. And like that was probably the highlight of their day, right?
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. And it's one of my favorite things. And maybe it's because I'm a storyteller and I'm a collector of stories.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of people's stories, even if it's just for a minute, even if it's just that they were having a crappy day and somebody stopped to hold a door for them and smile at them. To me, lock eyes with them for a minute. And it's just like being able to say in that moment, hey, you matter. You matter. I saw you. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, that's part of why I love music so much, because music just gives me the ability to say those things
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of people at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah. So powerful.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to other musicians if they want to be a great storyteller?
Listen well. Another thing that my dad and my grandpa used to always say was listen twice and speak once.
Mm.
And that was like I was saying when I was out at the Voice, that was one of my favorite things was listening to people. I just listen to people's stories. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have right now too, even in our whole entire culture. Everybody's so ready to get their thumbs flying to say what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Not listen to what the other person is saying, the other person is thinking, and we may be coming from completely different places, and we may have different stories, we may have different backgrounds, we may have different perspectives, and that's whatever. But if I can really learn to listen well and hear not just what you're saying, but why you're saying it, and where you came from that brought you to say that, and what's behind what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I think that can make you a good storyteller as a musician, is keeping your eyes and ears open. Learn to look around you instead of kind of just trying to pull something out of you and muscle it together and cram it and make it fit into a mold because the world needs to hear it. I think it's listening to what people are saying, because then you know what they need to hear. if you've actually been listening to people's fears and worries and questions and concerns and joys and celebrations, then you're able to write things to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest part. Biggest part of being a good storyteller in any medium is listening. Listen to people.
Yeah, because you'll learn much more when you listen to people, because sometimes they say, some people just like talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's just like, no, you got to listen, because you learn a lot.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, Aaron, any final words from you this evening?
Well, I just would tell everybody out there, all the other musicians and all the folks that are getting ready for the next season of The Voice and gearing up. I know exactly what they're doing right now, because I remember this process of being a few weeks out, and all the other storytellers and songwriters and people and stuff. Just I would say keep practicing your craft, keep practicing your art, whatever medium it is. If it's social media, if it's music, if it's writing, if it's storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And listen. I think our world needs a lot more people who know how to listen faster than they speak. And I would just encourage everybody to do that, especially if you're a songwriter. Just go out and just start listening to people's stories and collecting them and asking if you can be a part of their story before you rush to fix the problem they're telling you about. Just listen to the problem and just be there with it. And you're going to end up seeing the world through 1,000 other people's eyes that you would have never seen before. And so go and listen well.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And no one's really ever said that on my show, to just listen. And it's so simple. It's one word, right?
Yep.
And it's just listen, take it all in. You never know, because sometimes, like you said, you might come in contact with someone and they might just be having a really crappy day. And if you just like listen to them for like 6 or 7 minutes, like it could change their entire life. You never know.
Absolutely, it could. And it could change yours.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. I feel like we need to end on that note, because I don't even think I can come up with anything else to say.
Well, I really appreciated talking to you. I'm so grateful to get to be on here with you tonight.
Aaron, this was so much fun. You have a lot of amazing stuff coming up. You have a couple shows in September. Can you just say those dates one more time?
We have John Conley. We're going to be performing John Conley 3 different dates, the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah.
Dates are on our site. You can find them. Probably the easiest place is theunionrevival.com.
Yeah.
And all the dates are up there. And then we're going to be doing Brotherwell Brewery here in Waco, Texas on the 24th. Mm-hmm. And then more dates to come in October.
Yeah. And then there's a documentary coming. And then there's an album.
I know.
Documentary footage. Like, I'm so excited to see what comes out next, because you're so creative and you're doing so much. Also, the leather goods, guys, it's going to be holiday season soon. So go on the site, get your merch, get the leather handbags. Like, Aaron has got you covered.
True.
So guys, please make sure to follow Aaron. I was going to call you Alan. Please make sure to follow Aaron on all streaming platforms. Stream the music. Please donate to the Guitar Fund. And if you're in Waco, please help Aaron find his guitar, because it means so, so, so much to him. And if you enjoyed this conversation this evening, please make sure to follow me. I'm Ashley Live. This is Vibin with Ashley Live. And guys, please be kind to each other, be safe, and support great music.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.